Start sequence.
I'm Ashley Dvorkin, and this is Fox on Reddit. 6 months after the website became the epicenter for nude celebrity photo leaks, Reddit has amended its privacy policy to prohibit sexually explicit photos from being posted on the site without the user's permission. So will this policy be effective? Joining me now to discuss, attorney Paul Millus and Mashable reporter Seth Fiegerman. Seth, to you first. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
And Seth, to you first. Reddit has such a users run things way of working. So how big are these changes? And tell me what you think, brought these changes about.
I think they're very symbolic changes. As you say, for a very long time, it felt like the inmates were running the asylum at Reddit. And for good reason. I think it's a massive community, and they were always a little bit nervous inside the company about cracking down too much on free speech, getting rid of whatever the magic is that makes Reddit Reddit. But I think they've had leadership changes in the last 3 or 4 months, and that combined with all the intense scrutiny around the hack, among other things, really necessitated some kind of privacy change. And it remains to be seen just how much they execute on it. But.
Well, let's talk about the hack and those photo leaks. Just to remind viewers, how did users react and how did Reddit react, and what did Reddit learn from it?
Sure. So I think the hack didn't start on Reddit. It was hackers who we saw in the Who leaked these images online. They went on 4chan, which is another service that's even more of a Wild West than Reddit. Eventually, they ended up on a subgroup on Reddit. I think you saw more of a revolt among the media than among users on Reddit. But regardless, people I've talked to internally there, they were getting insane traffic, record traffic, but for all the wrong reasons. And I think that cuts into the morale of users and employees. Eventually, they did get rid of the group that was sharing those images, but not before the CEO said something to the effect of, well, we don't want to crack down on it. So it exposed just how confused and torn their policies were at that time.
Sure. Okay, so Paul, from a legal standpoint, just tell me in terms of what cases overall, because we're talking about this specific, scandal, but what cases overall do you think are making a big impact in terms of having sites look and reevaluate and change their policies?
Well, I think Reddit is trying to get ahead of the curve here. I mean, it's seen what happened in California insofar as that recent prosecution for the revenge porn site. And the California law that's been passed. There's also a New Jersey law that was passed in 2003 that prevents anyone from posting a nude photo online without their permission, and they're subject to penalties as a result. So I think what Reddit is saying is we can still have a Wild Wild West website, free speech for all, but we really don't need new photos and put ourselves in potential jeopardy. And that's what they're doing. Sure.
And you mentioned a couple that there are revenge porn laws in place. So where do you think that's going? I mean, what's next in all of this? Do you think more sites, more steps are going to be taken going forward?
Well, again, you get to a fine line when you start to deal with free speech. We saw this in the Sony situation with David Boies attempting or threatening to sue many companies for the posting of materials that were stolen from their websites, which would have been a tough road to hoe. I think when it comes down to pictures of people who don't want their pictures on there, it's a different animal altogether. So I don't necessarily see this as a slippery slope for Reddit in trying to monitor and prevent other things from going online, but it sees it's just not worth it. The pictures may be titillating and all that's great, but Reddit doesn't make its money from simply putting nude pictures on. It makes its money from people feeling that they could say most anything on the web that they want to say, and that's what they want to do. Plus, they just got $50 million worth of capital via financing, so quite frankly, they're trying to play with the big boys now.
Okay, and so that's Reddit alone. Do you see other sites sort of following suit after this?
I can't see how any site would not take this very, very seriously. 4chan as well, which was one of the sites that posted a lot of these nude photos. I can't see any site saying to themselves, we're simply going to do this and take our chances. The laws are changing. I think the California law, you're going to see it expanding. Other states are already considering legislation as it pertains to revenge porn type matters, photos that are not permitted. And I think you'd be foolish not to take into account that the tide is turning on that, and that really you should think twice about posting them.
Okay. And then, Seth, what has been the reaction so far from Reddit users, the Reddit community, that you've seen to these policy changes?
I think it's actually been remarkably tame, which is significant because, like I said, for years they debated whether or not to crack down on not this particular issue, but crack down on free speech more broadly. And the fear was that there would be some kind of revolt. And you're not seeing that yet. And again, execution is a whole other thing, but they've established a bold framework without serious repercussions right now, and I think that's a positive
going forward. So we'll see what happens. Absolutely. Seth, Paul, thank you both so much.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time. And thank you so much for watching. For Fox on Reddit, I'm Ashley Dvorkin.